Is a Jujutsu Kaisen live-action series actually happening? Those posters you see online, the so-called trailers floating around, the HBO Max rumors, which ones are real and which ones are completely fan-made? Why hasn't an official project been announced yet? Which projects is the industry really waiting for right now? And how are One Piece and a possible Naruto adaptation shaping this whole process? We're breaking it all down one by one. We're clearing out all the rumors and bringing the facts into the light. Before we dive into the details, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button so we can keep making content like this. Let's get started. I keep seeing so many posters, trailers, and HBO Max confirmed it style posts about a Jujutsu Kaisen live-action series online that it's getting hard to tell what's real and what's fake. So I went and looked into all of them one by one. Here's what I found. The majority of these news pieces are completely fan-made. Someone makes a cool poster, someone else edits a fake trailer, and then people start sharing it around as if it's an official announcement. So let's make this clear right away. For now, there is no such series. When I dug a little deeper, I couldn't find any official listing for a Jujutsu Kaisen live action on major platforms like HBO Max, Netflix, or Amazon either. No production listing, no director announcement, no casting rumors. In other words, there's no real project that is officially started. Because the hype is so high, every new image spreads as if it's real. But when we look at official sources, it's completely silent. That's why I wanted to start this video by cleaning up that misinformation first. But the fact that there's no official project right now doesn't mean something like this will never happen. On the contrary, I think the chances of this anime getting a live-action series are pretty high because the direction of the industry is very clear. Anime adaptations are slowly becoming more and more valuable in Hollywood. Studios have started to see the potential here, and they're realizing that when done right, these projects can reach millions of viewers. So the fact that it hasn't been announced yet doesn't mean it won't be announced in the future. I like to look at this topic not just through news, but through the general dynamics of the industry. Yes, the posters you're seeing and the trailers you're hearing about right now might not be real, but when I look at the question, could this project happen in the future? My answer is very clear. Yes, I think it will. And I actually think the chances of it becoming a series are much higher than a movie, because long stories, character development, and fight scenes fit the series format way better. So in this video, I'll both correct the misinformation and walk you through why I believe a Jujutsu Kaisen live action is coming, step by step. We'll take a detailed look at what kind of doors One Piece has opened for the industry, the long talked about Naruto adaptation process, live action trends in the anime world, and which project studios are currently leaning toward. So this isn't just a does it exist or not situation. It's part of a much bigger industry shift. We're going to unpack all of it in a minute. Because in this business, the most important determining factor is the success or failure of previous adaptations. One Piece, Naruto, and even all the good and bad attempts from the past. They're all critical examples that influence Jujutsu Kaisen's fate. Before taking risks, studios analyze the performance of these projects, measure the audience's reaction, and decide based on where the industry is heading. When we talk about the future of anime adaptations, we have to put One Piece in a separate category. Because, let's be honest, nobody expected the One Piece live action to be this successful. People were saying it would either completely flop or open the door to a new era. The result? The door officially opened. Capturing an anime's spirit, its characters, and its story tone, this accurately was incredibly hard, but the team pulled it off. This success didn't just benefit One Piece, it helped the entire anime industry. Studios are now thinking, can we do something like this too? And I don't just feel this as a viewer, I feel it clearly as a content creator whose channel is largely built on One Piece videos. Viewers are much more open to this kind of live-action adaptation now. In the past, whenever someone mentioned anime adaptations, everyone would make a face because there were too many bad examples. But now, things have started to change. If One Piece's second season hits the same quality, we're going to see a real domino effect. Once one anime is adapted well, other projects start lining up right behind it. At this point, we need to talk about Naruto, but let me be honest, I don't know a ton of details about the Naruto live-action process. I know it's a project that's been talked about for years, and there were rumors that some studios have made attempts, but I've never done a deep dive on it. So when I come to this topic, I'm looking at the same online news you are. But if you want, I can do a detailed research on this and prepare a separate video. Let me know in the comments if you really want that kind of video. We'll put Naruto's live action potential on the table too. But the fact that we don't know much about Naruto doesn't stop us from seeing where the industry is heading. If One Piece delivers another great performance in its second season, and on top of that, a massive brand like Naruto comes in as a high-quality live-action closet, that's when live-action projects for popular anime like Jujutsu Kaisen become inevitable. It's not that studios are afraid to take risks, they're just waiting for the right examples to succeed first. Just like Marvel opened the door with Iron Man and then expanded the entire universe afterward. That's why I find it completely normal that Jujutsu Kaisen's live-action process hasn't been officially announced yet, because the industry is currently in a test phase. How will One Piece Season 2 perform? Is Naruto really coming? And if it is, how high will the quality be? Studios are making decisions based on the answers to these questions. But my personal opinion is crystal clear. If these two critical projects meet expectations, the question around Jujutsu Kaisen won't be, will it happen? But when will it be announced? I really think they're just waiting for the right moment. What makes Jujutsu Kaisen special in terms of live action is how insanely well its story fits the cinematic language. The fight choreography, the character's energy, the world design, all of that could turn into an incredible visual experience in the hands of the right director. Especially effect-heavy scenes like curse techniques could look absolutely insane with the right CGI team. So if you ask me, studios definitely have this series on their radar. They're just waiting for the right time. Because projects like this require both a big budget and the right team. Then there's the story side of things. Jujutsu Kaisen's dark tone, character arcs, and emotional conflicts are actually very suited to live action. This is a world that can move forward episodically while also carrying a huge overarching plot. In other words, it's tailor-made for a series format. It has enough punch to fill a movie on its own, but enough depth to sustain a long-running show. That's why I keep saying that a series is more likely than a movie. A movie would compress this universe. A series would expand it. Of course, the biggest issue with anime adaptations is always casting. Because audience expectations are sky high, one wrong casting choice gets instant backlash. One of the biggest reasons One Piece succeeded was that they picked the right actors. If Jujutsu Kaisen gets the same level of care, it could turn into something really impactful. Especially for characters like Gojo, Sukuna, and Yuji, finding the right faces is both difficult and absolutely crucial. I can honestly say the fate of this whole project will depend on casting. When we zoom out and look at the industry, we see that studios are now targeting a global audience. Netflix's massive investments in the Asian market, Amazon expanding its anime catalog through its Japan branch, HBO Max opening up to international projects, all of these moves make anime adaptations even more likely. We're no longer in an era where projects are made just for one country. They're made for the entire world. In that kind of environment, not adapting a worldwide hit like Jujutsu Kaisen would actually be a bigger financial loss. So I absolutely do not see the lack of an official announcement as this project will never happen. It just means the right conditions aren't there yet. Studios currently have two major reference points, the One Piece and Naruto adaptations. If those two succeed, Jujutsu Kaisen's path opens up. If they fail, projects get delayed. But when I look at the overall trajectory, I see that this dark fantasy action type of anime is like gold to Hollywood, and Jujutsu Kaisen is definitely at the top of that list. Now, let's get to the question everyone really wants answered. So, when would this live-action series actually come out? Since there's no official announcement, it's impossible to give a solid date, but we can still make some predictions by looking at how the industry works. Once One Piece drops its second season, studios' perspective on anime adaptations will become even clearer. If One Piece S2 truly hits the expected quality, I see it as very likely that we'll start hearing about new anime adaptations being announced around 2026, 2027. And Jujutsu Kaisen would be one of the strongest candidates on that list. It's also well known that studios do a lot of behind-the-scenes prep work on big brands like Jujutsu Kaisen before they announce anything. Script development, budgeting, pre-production, these phases can quietly go on for a year. So we shouldn't forget this. No announcement doesn't necessarily mean nothing is happening behind closed doors. Hollywood likes to prepare the ground first when it comes to big IPs. So it's entirely possible that Jujutsu Kaisen's live action is already being discussed at the table and we just haven't seen the announcement yet. At this point, I want to repeat my personal opinion. I think a Jujutsu Kaisen series is definitely coming. The only unclear part is when we'll get the official announcement. The moment One Piece shines in its second season and Naruto makes a strong live-action debut, this whole thing will turn into a wave. Just like Marvel did years ago, anime adaptations will start their own era. At that point, Jujutsu Kaisen's announcement becomes a matter of when, not if. The right team, the right director, the right platform. Once those all come together, we could get something truly incredible. As a viewer, I would absolutely love to see that happen. Because with its characters, world building, and visual potential, Jujutsu Kaisen is a series that would look amazing in live action. If the right team handles it, it could turn into a full-on cinematic feast. But if they cast it wrong or rush the process, everything falls apart. So my hope is that studios don't rush it. If they move slowly, carefully, and correctly, they could create something perfect for both anime fans and general audiences. Lastly, I want to circle back to Naruto. I don't have very deep knowledge about Naruto's live-action process. I haven't researched it heavily, and most of what I see online is still at the rumor level. But if you want, we can absolutely make a separate video about the Naruto live-action project. What's been discussed, who's been approached, what the real possibilities are. I can research all of it and put together a detailed video for you. Just let me know in the comments. Do you want a Naruto video? And to wrap up the video, let me ask you, do you think Jujutsu Kaisen will actually get a live-action adaptation? And which platform do you think would suit a project like this best? Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoy these kinds of analysis videos, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any new uploads. See you in the next video.